Colleagues, we are now ready to move on to item 9. Number of files submitted for the 2020 and 2021 cycles, and number of files that can be treated in the 2022 and 2023 cycles. Since 2009, when the committee examined the first nomination files, and at successive sessions, the committee discussed the issues related to number of files extensively. I understand that it was also the subject of lengthy debates during the last session of General Assembly in September this year, which resulted in a recommendation addressed to us, the committee. The challenge here, colleagues, is to reach a decision that would find the right balance between the spirit of inclusiveness of the 2003 convention and the workload related with the nomination process. Let me now give the floor to Mr. Curtis to give us more details. Mr. Secretary, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. The issues related to the number of files have a long history, as just mentioned by the Chairperson, and they are complex with many details. And I will try here only to summarize the main points.
Je t'entendais pas. Ça va?
Palestine, could you... Thank you. I will try best to summarize the main points here, particularly because the details can be found in the working documents. Firstly, the working document for this item provides an overview of the files submitted for the 2020 and 2021 cycles. It is reported that a warning raised for the 2019 cycle has been confirmed under the 2021 cycle. In other words, an unusually high number of files, including multinational files, and from a higher than normal number of submitting states, means that the annual sealing and priority system no longer seem to be sustainable. Mindful of the importance of multinational files for international cooperation, as well as the need to continue the efforts to improve upon the geographical balance of the lists, the Secretariat decided to include 60 files in the 2021 cycle, although the request was for 50. This problem was again discussed at length during the 8th session of the General Assembly in September 2020. While welcoming the goodwill of the Secretariat to increase the number of files for the 2021 cycle to 60, the Assembly emphasized the need to step up the efforts to render the list more geographically representative, balanced, and culturally diversified. To that end, the General Assembly recommended that the committee consider the possibility of increasing the number of files to include all the files submitted by states parties for 2022 and 2023 cycles. The issue of annual number of files touch upon a series of interrelated issues that are fundamental to the Convention, such as the spirit of inclusiveness, the search for balanced list, but also the credibility of the mechanism and the workload of all concerned. It is the opinion of the Secretariat that any reflections that might lead to a sustainable change in the number of overall files must be undertaken carefully in conjunction with the global reflection process on the listing mechanisms as initiated by the 13th session of the committee. At the same time, the experience of the evaluation body and the committee in evaluating and examining 60 files under 2021 cycle will surely have to be taken into account. In other words, whilst the Secretariat could, if and only if reinforced with extra resources, increase the number of files we process, the evaluation of the files under the current system will not be improved by merely adding extra evaluators, and this is because the evaluation body members must reach consensus on each criterion. If the annual sealing were to be changed to include a high number of files, the overall listing system would need to be drastically changed. It would necessarily imply lightening the evaluation process, including the criteria. Moreover, if the committee were to continue with the annual sealing system, different ways of managing the priority system will need to be reflected on and devised. So in the meantime, an intermediary solution needs to be sought. The committee may adopt an approach to that for use for 2021 cycles that could be envisaged. That is to include at least 50 files under both 2022 and 2023, while ensuring that all files under priority 0 are included. If the number of files under priority 0 alone exceeds the ceiling of 50 files. The Secretariat then could also consider treating priority 1 national files from submitting states with no elements inscribed, or priority 2 multinational files giving priority to files from states with no national elements inscribed. With this proposal, I've finished my presentation. Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. I now open the floor. Does anybody wish to take the floor? I understand Sweden wishes to take the floor. Go ahead, Sweden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the document shows, we face major challenges when it comes to the number of files that can be examined. And it is of the utmost importance that this problem finds a solution through the reflecting process of the listing mechanism. But right now, it's a fact that the financial and human resources within the Secretariat and the evaluation body are limited. If we try to exceed that limit, it will affect the quality and legitimacy of the evaluation, and by extension, our possibilities of working according to the spirit of the Convention. We, all state parties, must take this into account when considering submitting new nominations. Sweden would like to thank the Secretariat for presenting a possible intermediary solution. Within the proposal in the draft decision, we also want to underline the importance of the possibilities for treating files connected to the priorities under point 1 and 2 in paragraph 34 of the operational directives. These priorities include the urgent safeguarding list, international assistance, the register of good safeguarding practices, and the multinational files. These mechanisms are of fundamental importance for this convention. Thank you.
Thank you, Sweden. Czechia?
J'espère que vous m'entendez. Nous remercions le secrétariat pour son analyse de la situation actuelle et pour sa proposition d'augmenter à 60 le nombre de dossiers examinés en 2021. Nous sommes conscients de la gravité de la situation actuelle concernant les dossiers en attente pour les cycles suivants et nous espérons qu'une solution durable découlera de la réflexion globale qui est menée actuellement sur les mécanismes d'inscription. Car nous nous rendons bien compte que le secrétariat, l'organe d'évaluation et le comité lui-même sont à la limite de leurs possibilités et c'est pourquoi s'efforcer d'augmenter encore le nombre de dossiers qui seront examinés lors des sessions futures du comité n'est pas possible. D'ores et déjà, l'inscription des dossiers nous prend bien trop de temps, un temps précieux que nous voudrions consacrer davantage au rapport sur l'état de sauvegarde, aux mesures de sauvegarde, à la participation des communautés et aux autres aspects de la mise en œuvre de notre convention, et aux initiatives intéressantes, comme par exemple dans le domaine du PCI, dans l'environnement urbain ou dans son rapport au patrimoine immobilier. Pour conclure, nous espérons que la réflexion globale nous proposera une solution à ce défi acceptable à tous et nous remercions le secrétariat pour la solution intermédiaire pour les cycles à venir. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Czechia. Japan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, let me welcome the constructive endeavors of the Secretariat to increase the number of the files examined for the 2021 cycle from 50 to 60. At the same time, we are also concerned about the accumulation of backlog files, which indicates a serious issue. We still have many potential files waiting for inscription in Japan as well, and we need a fundamental review of the evaluation system. In fact, at this moment alone, I'm under pressure from some of the people in Japan. But on the other hand, we have to take into account the working capacity of the Secretariat and the evaluation body who actually perform the work. So this is the relationship between the requirements and the amount of work. I think many delegations have already mentioned this, and the reflection group, will need to look into this. So at this moment, we cannot really increase the number of files to be examined so much. That is why we need to look at the rules again to find the right path towards the future. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Japan. Azerbaijan.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. La délégation d'Azerbaïdjan note avec inquiétude la situation du nombre de dossiers qui seront traités dans le cycle 2021 où le système de priorité établi dans la directive opérationnelle a pour la première fois connu une crise. Cette situation doit être traitée d'urgence car elle laisse l'un des plus importants mécanismes d'inscription, donc les candidatures multinationales, presque en dehors du plafond de dossiers à évaluer. Il s'agit en effet d'une situation très préoccupante compte tenu des efforts que les États déploient pour préparer et soumettre de tels dossiers. Notre délégation a une question posée au secrétariat concernant les cycles 2022-2023. Nous voudrions nous référer à la résolution 8GA.11 de la 8e session de l'Assemblée générale tenue en septembre de cette année qui recommande au comité, dans le cadre du processus de réflexion sur le mécanisme d'inscription, d'envisager la possibilité d'augmenter ce nombre pour inclure tous les dossiers soumis par les États parties pour le cycle 2022-2023. Nous comprenons cependant sur la base du document de travail soumis qu'en raison des difficultés liées à la charge de travail, il ne sera pas possible d'inclure tous les dossiers et le secrétariat est prêt à faire preuve de flexibilité en 2022-2023 et inclure les candidatures des États n'ayant pas d'éléments inscrits et les dossiers multinationaux, tout en donnant la priorité aux dossiers des pays n'ayant pas d'éléments nationaux inscrits. Notre question est de savoir qu'est-ce qui va se passer avec les dossiers multinationaux, donc les États soumissionnaires ne comptent pas parmi des États sans aucun élément national inscrit. Considérant que leur chance est de bénéficier de la flexibilité soit encore plus faible et tout en cherchant à comprendre le secrétariat, nous voudrions suggérer de supprimer cette partie du paragraphe 9 du projet de décision. Enfin, nous pensons qu'un débat ad hoc pourrait éventuellement être organisé afin de réfléchir à la situation et de proposer des pistes à suivre au comité lors de sa prochaine session. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Azerbaijan. Switzerland.
Madame la Présidente, la Suisse salue l'analyse réalisée par le secrétariat quant au cycle 2020 et 2021 de soumission des dossiers et en partage les conclusions. La conciliation de l'accroissement du nombre de demandes, des attentes des États soumissionnaires et du système de priorité en place représente un défi complexe. Vu les capacités et ressources du secrétariat, de l'organe d'évaluation et du comité, une attention particulière doit être portée au maintien de conditions permettant de garantir la bonne qualité du traitement des dossiers et partant la crédibilité du travail de notre comité. Nous comprenons la volonté exprimée par certains États parties d'intensifier les efforts pour tendre vers des listes géographiquement plus équilibrées et culturellement plus diversifiées. Toutefois, il nous semble important de ne pas prendre de décision hâtive concernant le nombre de dossiers pour le cycle 2022-2023. D'une part, il convient de mener à terme le processus de réflexion sur les mécanismes d'inscription. Il est important de considérer aussi ces résultats avant tout changement de fond du modèle actuel. D'autre part, à court terme, il convient d'éviter la saturation de notre système. La Suisse soutient en conséquence la proposition transitoire proposée par le secrétariat. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you, Switzerland. Brazil?
Gracias, señora presidenta. El número de candidaturas sigue creciendo de forma constante y esto solo podemos verlo con enorme satisfacción, ya que es la demostración más clara del éxito de esta convención y de la visibilidad del patrimonio cultural inmaterial. Sabemos que la Secretaría y el órgano evaluador están atentos a la necesidad de reducir el desequilibrio en la distribución geográfica de los elementos de la lista. Y las propias directivas operacionales ya contemplan en el parágrafo 34 de las prioridades a ser aplicadas, con la precedencia a los países que tienen uno o ningún elemento en las candidaturas multinacionales. Pero también estamos conscientes que esto no puede significar una limitación sistemática de las candidaturas de los países que ya cuentan con elementos en las listas, en las varias listas. Por lo tanto, un aumento del número de las candidaturas analizadas se hará necesario, tarde o temprano. Sin embargo, este aumento no se puede hacer a expensas de la calidad y del nivel técnico de los cuales se realizan hoy los exámenes de las candidaturas presentadas. Como no es razonable desear que el órgano evaluador pueda tratar un número de candidaturas muy superior a sus capacidades operacionales, nos parece que las posibles soluciones pasen por la construcción de capacidades y la cooperación técnica en el ámbito del patrimonio cultural, lo que volvería más fluido el proceso de evaluación. Como tuvimos la oportunidad de subrayar antes, reconocemos que para esta reunión el órgano evaluador ha realizado un inmenso esfuerzo de trabajo y lo felicitamos una vez más. Sabemos que la presentación incompleta de la documentación de candidaturas es un factor que sistemáticamente retrasa los ritmos de trabajo y de evaluación. Por todo esto, nos parece que la propuesta de decisión presentada por el secretariado, la solución intermedia, que Brasil apoya decididamente, sea un buen punto de partida para llegar a un compromiso definitivo, pero necesitamos también invertir en construcción de capacidades y cooperación técnica como forma de simplificar el trabajo y acelerarlo sin perjuicio de las excelencias de la labor de evaluación. Gracias, señora presidenta.
Thank you, Brazil. Netherlands?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to echo the words of the delegation of Czechia and many more speakers before us. We know this is a very important point to increase the examinations of more files, but and we know this is very important to all the states and for the communities, but we think it's better to have this as a part of the global reflection on the listing mechanisms, and also to see what the outcomes of this reflection is, and to have then more balanced files. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Poland?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just to be very brief, and I just want to repeat what have been said before me. But first of all, I want to thank the Secretariat for this very detailed report regarding the number of files submitted for this cycle and the next cycles. And I would like to share some thoughts that we have while reading this report. And I know that there might be some other countries as well who are wondering whether the increase of number of files for the next cycle will affect all the actions, like, for example, capacity building in the process over the next years. And this is my question to the Secretariat. Maybe Secretariat will be so nice, so kind, and answer to this one. Thank you so much. And maybe this will help us with the future decision. Thank you.
Thank you. I will ask Mr. Curtis to take the floor, please.
Thank you, and I thank the delegate of Poland for her question, and I believe there was a question from the delegation of Azerbaijan earlier. If I understand, the delegation of Azerbaijan was asking what happens to files who would not include a country that has no element already inscribed. Well, within the framework, of course, we would do as much as we can, but yes, for sure, those files would then, given our capacities, would probably not be treated in that cycle. Again, 2021 is the first time ever we found ourselves in a situation where multinational files were not able to be inscribed. But this is a proposal we made to go for a way forward. As to the question from the delegation of Poland, I can only say, as I said also during the GA, there's no doubt, if we have to give more resources to processing files, we are taking resources away from other parts of our work, including capacity building. So it's a resource question, it's a resource allocation question. If you increase in one side, you must decrease somewhere else, unless you have access to extra resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Botswana?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to find clarity in terms of the number of files that a state party can submit under the multinational files. Because the observation that we made is that some state parties can make many submissions under the multinational files. And this in a way affects negatively the quality of the files that are submitted. Because in this cycle that we've been in, we've noticed that some multinational files were not able to satisfy most of the criterions, probably because there were a lot of them submitted in the same cycle. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I will now give the floor to Austria.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
The Austrian delegation would join the previous delegations to commend the Secretariat for the excellent document on the number of files for the upcoming cycles. It has provided a very clear explanation concerning the challenges for the evaluation process. If we further increase the number of dossiers to be examined, risking even the collapse of our system. Thus, we highly appreciate your efforts dealing with an increased number of files in 21, especially knowing full well the high workload that this implies. It is a pleasure to see that there is an ever-growing interest in intangible cultural heritage, the convention and nominations, but this increased interest has raised a number of issues and concerns which were also addressed at the 8th General Assembly in September. One of these concerns relates to the growing amount of backlogged files. As the Secretariat clearly elaborates, a larger number of members of the evaluation body or even splitting it is not a desirable solution. We support the Secretariat's suggestion to continue with the current procedure for evaluation on an interim basis until the reflections on the listing mechanism have been completed. Dossiers to be examined annually, as well as an evaluation body that ensures the coherence and quality of the future cycles. And most importantly, we also should keep in mind the central aspects of the convention, like safeguarding and capacity building. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, let us now move to the decision. Please refer to document 9 and its draft decision in paragraph 14. Can we see it on the screen, please? May I ask the committee to adopt draft decision 15.9 as shown on the screen?
Madam Chair? Madam
Go
Chair?
ahead, Mr. Curtis. Go ahead. You may take the
I
floor.
believe we did receive an amendment on this decision. We've received, as was announced, an amendment from Kuwait. So we have to go para by para. Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted to adopt as a whole. My apologies. If we go para by para, it's fine. Thank you.
Paragraph 1, citing the document we have examined. Do I see any objections? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 2, recalling our previous decisions. I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 3, considering the limited capacity of the committee and the secretariat. No objection. Adopted. Paragraph 4, further considering the limited capacity of the evaluation body, given its composition and working method. Do I see any objection? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 6, decide to set the number of files to be treated for the 2022 and 2023 cycle at least 50. I understand that Kuwait tabled an amendment on this paragraph. Kuwait, do you want to explain your amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, please. First of all, Madam Chair, let me thank the Secretariat for the brave decision they took to increase the files from 50 to 60. And to me, that was a major step forward to solve, temporarily for the short-term solution. I also, understand that the global reflection on the listing mechanism is ongoing, and hopefully after that, we will have a permanent solution. But Kuwait, we think, the logic behind our draft amendment is based on three things. First of all, I'm echoing what happened in the General Assembly regarding the cycles, the 22 cycles, where we had, a lot of interest from the state parties to increase 5% or 10% of the files to be evaluated. But was the decision of the General Assembly, it's not the place to increase it, it's the committee responsibility. So what I'm echoing what's happened in the General Assembly. The second point, Madam Chair, as you look from the website of the ICH, we have over 160 files backlog for 46 countries. And I know for the global reflection, we will have hopefully permanent, but we're trying to help, a minor change that's, going from the 50 proposed to 60, same as been done for the 21 cycle. And Madam Chair, also let me emphasize, in this cycle, we had about, if I'm not mistaken, 7 files that's been withdrawn. Those 7 files, even more than 10%, were been done in this convention. And those files have been done. I mean, most of the work has been done. Those 7 files, majority of the work has been done. And I think increasing from 50 to 60 will help the state parties that who are, withdraw their files with few changes need to be done to be presented in the coming, to have a chance to be presented in the coming future. So what Kuwait is proposing, it's a minor change. Like I heard my colleagues in the beginning, they are with the minor change, not a major change. So I think, this is a minor change. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kuwait. Committee members, do you have any comments on this? Mr. Curtis, you may wish to comment.
No, I see Saudi Arabia and Morocco.
Go ahead, Saudi Arabia. The floor is yours.
Yes, Madam Chair, we would like to support Kuwait's amendment. Thank you.
Japan.
Morocco, the floor is yours.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je souhaite appuyer l'amendement du Koweït. Et pour cela, j'aimerais bien me référer à nos débats intenses et compliqués qui ont eu lieu pendant la 8e session de l'Assemblée générale en septembre 2020 et pendant laquelle on a salué la volonté du secrétariat de porter à 60 le nombre de dossiers pour le cycle 2021. Donc, je sais que la tâche est très compliquée pour l'organe d'évaluation, que la charge de travail est énorme. Mais comme on l'a fait pour le cycle 2021, on aimerait bien reconduire donc cette mesure pour le cycle 2022-2023. Et comme l'a dit M. l'ambassadeur du Koweït, c'est un changement minime et on verra par la suite pour les cycles à venir si on maintiendra ou si on reviendra selon aussi le travail ou la réflexion sur les mécanismes d'inscription qui est en cours. Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you. Japan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a bit difficult for me to argue this in a very proper way. But on the one hand, we are not against the idea of having a number 60 here. But according to the original formulation, it was at least 50, and you will have some flexibility clauses in paragraph 8 and 9. And this is, in a way, with a view to increasing the number up to 60 or something like that. Now, if the basis is 60, we are, in a way, we are giving an impression that it can be something like 70 with the flexibility clauses in paragraph 8 and 9. That is a little bit, a little bit too much on the one side. So my suggestion at least would be to delete this at least. Well, I can go along with the idea that we have 60 as an upper limit. But since we have flexibility clauses after this, at least, this place at least has to go. And beyond that, let me have some time to think about this, but 60, no, we should have a general understanding that 60 is more or less the maximum we can go at this moment. And to increase the number more than that, we have to wait for the reflection group. But in my heart, I'm not against the increase of number. So I'm sorry for this complicated statement, but 60 is probably the target to go at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Djibouti?
Merci, Madame la Présidente. C'était juste pour soutenir la proposition de Koweït. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Mr. Curtis? I should recognize Czechia. Thank you.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Il nous semble un peu difficile de suivre l'amendement du Koweït sur ce paragraphe compte tenu de la discussion qu'on vient d'avoir et des explications du secrétariat. Je crois qu'il nous a montré sa bonne volonté d'essayer de traiter 60 dossiers en cycle 2021. Et il nous a aussi dit qu'ils vont faire de leur mieux avec l'organe d'évaluation pour traiter les d'autres dossiers prioritaires au-delà des 50. D'ailleurs, comme notre distingué délégué du Koweït nous l'a dit, son changement est minime et nous pensons que si nous revenons au wording initial avec au moins 50 dossiers par cycle, eh bien, si ce sera un petit peu plus, on pourra aller jusqu'à 60 si jamais ils sont dans la priorité et ça donne quand même une marge de manœuvre au secrétariat, à l'organe d'évaluation. Donc, nous serions favorables de garder le texte comme il était initialement. Merci.
Thank you. Azerbaijan?
Merci, Madame la Présidente. C'était juste pour dire que nous soutenons la proposition de Koweït. Merci.
Thank you. Peru?
Gracias, señora presidenta. Nosotros apoyamos también la propuesta de Kuwait.
Thank you. I will now give the floor to Mr. Curtis.
Madam, I have no need to add to the debate at this stage. Just to explain that we have now on the screen the original amendment proposed by Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Djibouti, Peru. We have an addition by Japan to remove the at least, and then Czech that has stated it wishes to stay at 50. Thank you.
Members, please raise your hands if you agree with the proposal.
Switzerland, I believe, is asking for the floor.
Go ahead, Switzerland. Recognize you.
Thank you, Chair. This is to support the proposal of Czechia, and in the eventuality of an exception of the amendment of Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Djibouti, and Peru, we would like to support the amendment of Japan.
Switzerland? I'm sorry. Brazil?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brazil supports the original wording, but if the committee decides to endorse the Kuwaiti proposal, then we will support the Japanese proposal to strike out the wording at least. Thank you.
Netherlands?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to support a suggestion made by Czechia to go back to the original wording. Thank you.
Thank you. Sweden?
We also like to support the original wording and the proposal from Czechia, and in second hand, the proposal from Japan. Thank you.
Thank you. Panama?
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to talk in Spanish this time. Yo realmente estoy confundida. Porque estamos hablando de nominaciones para la lista en necesidad de ayuda de salvaguardia urgente, cuyas solicitudes son de más de $100,000. O sea que estamos poniendo un tope de 50 o 60 nominaciones para casos de urgencia. Solamente este párrafo 6. ¿Es así, señora Presidente?
May I ask Mr. Curtis?
Yeah. Just for the Honourable Delegate of Panama, no, I think this is not related to situations or emergencies or to only the urgent safeguarding. This is just for all, as we did just the last 2 days, for all files submitted, be they representative list, urgent safeguarding list, good safeguarding practices, or international assistance above 100,000. Thank you.
Si me permite, señora Presidenta, para seguir entonces, si me da la palabra.
Go ahead, Mr. Curtis. Mr. Curtis, you wanted to make a comment, further comment?
No. No, I just answered the question, I believe, to Panama.
Panama, please go ahead.
Gracias, señora Presidenta. Entonces, si tomamos en cuenta que sea 50 o 60 lo que pongamos como tope para las nominaciones, nos encontramos con que en el punto 7 siguiente vamos a decidir que si uno por cada estado miembro que presente, estaríamos hablando que de los 180 estados miembros de la convención serían 90 por año. Entonces nos parece a nosotros que poner en esta etapa, en este momento, un tope de 50 o 60 realmente no es realista. Por lo tanto, no nos parece que esta enmienda, como está presentada, pueda prosperar. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear colleagues, can I ask those of you in support of the proposal of Czechia to raise your hands? Mr. Curtis, could you please identify those countries, those members?
We see Switzerland, Netherlands, Sweden, Republic of Korea, Brazil. I believe those are the countries. I see no more hands being raised, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Please lower your hands. Colleagues, those who had their hands raised, will you please lower your hands? Can I ask those of you in support of the proposal of Kuwait to raise your hands? Mr. Curtis, could you identify those members?
I read Saudi Arabia, Peru, Morocco, Djibouti, Azerbaijan, and China. And Côte d'Ivoire, Sri Lanka, okay. I see no more hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. One moment, please. Colleagues, maybe the Japanese amendment will get us out of this. Please raise your hands if you agree with the Japanese proposal. Mr. Curtis?
Madam Chair, I read Sweden, Republic of Korea, Netherlands, Switzerland, Japan, Brazil, Cameroon, Czechia, Kazakhstan, China. Kazakhstan is up. Have we put Kazakhstan up? Put Kazakhstan, please. Kazakhstan. I'll reread the list I have, Madam Chair. Sweden, Republic of Korea, Netherlands, Japan, Brazil, Cameroon, Kazakhstan, China, Sri Lanka. Madam Chair, Jamaica as well, for the Japan.
Okay. Just one moment, please.
Madam Chair, could Mr. Curtis read the Japanese amendments, please?
Mr. Curtis, could you please
Madam
read?
yeah, I understand. Okay, just to clarify, we have three proposals. It's a little bit confusing. The original red is determined to be at least 50. At least 50. Then Kuwait proposed an amendment of at least 60. Then Japan said we could then remove the at least because of the other paragraphs which give the flexibility to go above, in which case the Japanese proposal would read that can be treated as determined to be 60, but not at least 60. Czechia, Barco doesn't need to write. Czechia would wish, with those supporting Czechia, to stay at the original of at least 50. Thank you.
I recognize Peru. You wish to take the floor? Peru, do you wish to take the floor? If you do so, please go ahead.
Sí, gracias, Presidenta. Sí, nosotros estamos a favor de la enmienda de tomar los 60, pero eliminar también, como dice Japón, la frase de al menos.
Kuwait, you wish to take the floor? If you do so, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to clarify one thing. I'm glad, that a lot of people think the 60 is a reasonable number. Just to make sure that, if we put just 60, then the Secretariat has no flexibility. So everyone know the maximum will be 60. So regarding of the scenario, regarding of priorities, they will not be entered in the 22 cycles. So I'm glad, 60 to me is fine, but, bear in mind, regarding of any circumstances, they cannot increase one nomination according to this decision, like they did in the 21 cycles, where they increased 20% of the number of nomination from 50 to 60, they increased 20%. Just to clarify to my colleagues, because the next parts will depend on this decision. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kuwait. I will now give the floor to Mr. Curtis. You may wish to guide us.
Yeah. Madam Chair, I'll point you just to Rule 25.1 on amendments. It seems that we now have two Well, we have three, but two that seem to go together. We have Kuwait plus Japan, which seems to have, according to the countries we have on the screen, quite a lot of support. Then we have the proposal to stay to the original from Czechia. So allow me to read Rule 25. When an amendment to a proposal is moved, the amendment shall be voted on first. When two or more amendments are moved, the committee shall first vote. We are not voting here, but we shall still discuss the amendment deemed by the chairperson to be the furthest removed in substance from the original proposal. Madam Chair, with this in mind, it might be worth first seeing if Kuwait plus Japan together is acceptable, and then we can see from there, because that seems to me as a possible way out, taking 25.1. Thank you. I see Panama and Poland have asked for the floor, Madam Chair. Kuwait is asking for a point of order.
Oh, Kuwait,
Yes.
go ahead.
With due respect, Madam Chair and the Secretariat, according to the rules and regulation, we cannot have two different amendments and the same countries in voting on both of them. Because, the Japan and the Czech, they are totally different. So the state parties, they either, to go with this one or this or that one. You cannot have, or even with Kuwait, you cannot have voting for this in the same DA where two different opinion and you said they have majority or minority. So, we have three different proposals and three of them are totally different. So the state parties have to think which is the most suitable decision that they favorite and put their names. I don't see, having some people having their names in more than draft amendment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kuwait. Panama.
Hablaré en español. Gracias, señora presidenta. Panamá desea apoyar la enmienda de Japón. Gracias.
Thank you, Panama. Poland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Poland wishes to support amendment presented by Czechia, since we see it that way, that there is no reason that the Secretariat in the next cycle can, the evaluation body in the next cycle may will to evaluate a bit more than 50 nomination files. That's why we would like to leave it as it was. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I wish to give the floor to Mr. Curtis. Secretariat?
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, it seems I understand the intervention by the delegate of Kuwait, although we are not technically in a vote, but nevertheless it makes sense. I do remember that certain countries said, and I remember Swiss, and I think it was Switzerland and Sweden who said that they supported the Czechia proposal, and then if the Kuwait proposal was maintained, then they support the Japan proposal. So that addresses the concerns of the delegate of Kuwait, and since we're not in a vote, this is really to think how to get out of this. Again, perhaps according to Rule 25.1, we should first discuss the Kuwait. If the Kuwait is adopted, then countries should decide. So I would say perhaps the Japan proposal should be put to the side until we know whether the Kuwait or Czechia proposal will stay. And then if the Kuwait proposal stays, then we should discuss the Japan proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. I recognize Brazil. The floor is yours.
Gracias, Presidenta. No, era solamente para aclarar la posición de Brasil, que ya había sido manifestada. Nosotros defendemos la propuesta original. Si después el comité decide que deben ser 60 y no 50, apoyaríamos la propuesta de Japón. Gracias.
Thank you. Brazil, Czechia.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. On aimerait bien trouver une solution consensuelle avec nos collègues du comité. Donc, nous demandons si, en retirant notre proposition et en ajoutant à la proposition japonaise le mot maximum, est-ce que ce ne serait pas une solution qui répondrait aux préoccupations soulevées par Kuwait sur la flexibilité pour le secrétariat? Et est-ce que ce ne serait pas l'amendement qui nous conviendrait tous? Donc, ce serait request is determined to be maximum 60 per cycle. Merci.
Thank you. Botswana?
Perhaps I would wait if Kuwait could answer what Czechia has just said. Otherwise, I was going to support Kuwait.
Thank you. Kuwait?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chair, for your question. I think, to me, it's important to give the Secretariat flexibility, in the future, like we did in the 21 cycle. Like I said, they went from 50 to 60. That's because they have flexibility. We don't know what's coming on. Just to have consensus, I'll be, again, I can, instead of having it from 50 to 60, I'll be more comfortable if we can have it, okay, at least to 55. We had, this is where, I gave the flexibility to the Secretariat, yet at the same time, I feel, the number is increased a little bit, and, consulting with the evaluation, with the expert, a lot of experts, I consulted with them, they're saying they can handle that increase of 5 files. They already done 60. So I think if we can change it to from at least 60 to at least 65, I'll be happy with that. After the approval of the committee, for sure.
Thank you. I will ask Tim.
No, just I heard the delegate of Kuwait at the end said 65, but I understand it was 55. At the beginning he said 55, at least 55, and indeed at least 55 would give us the flexibility and be an increase. Thank you.
I will recognize Sweden at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Well, we wanted to react to the intervention made by Czechia, and in order to reach consensus, which I think we all are working towards, we would see that the Japanese proposal would be the proposition that would meet everyone's concern more or less. We had a very difficult time with the original proposal presented by Kuwait. Now, when it's at least 55, we still have concerns about that. But if this proposal can reach consensus, we're willing to be flexible. But we would either go for the Japanese proposal or the 55. Thank you.
Thank you, Sweden. Peru?
Gracias, Presidenta. Coincido con el delegado que me precedió en la palabra, en el sentido de que hay que dar flexibilidad a la Secretaría. Poner al menos 60 no significa que haya que subir a 70, como expresó el distinguido delegado de Japón. Significa simplemente que la Secretaría deberá procesar al menos 60. Si considera que por los medios con que cuenta no puede exceder los 60, pues se quedará en los 60. Sin embargo, si hay uno más o dos o tres o los que sean necesario procesar y pertinente procesar, la Secretaría tomará la decisión. Entonces, ponerle una camisa de fuerza con como máximo 60, es un error. Hay que dejar que la Secretaría use su flexibilidad y su criterio y permitirle procesar por lo menos 60. Nosotros apoyamos claramente la propuesta de Kuwait. Gracias.
Thank you, Peru. I think at this point I would want to hand the floor to Mr. Curtis, to the Secretariat. Mr. Curtis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see that we now have a second proposal by Kuwait, which also allows the flexibility. That flexibility is important because of the following paragraphs by which we apply certain criteria to choose. I understand that, and there's been quite a bit of reference to the work of the Secretariat, and we appreciate that. We feel that this second one with at least 55 can address the concerns that the Ambassador of Japan raised about how we then link it to the following paragraphs. It's a workable solution, and we see this as a way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. We did very well yesterday with our timing.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead, Mr. Curtis.
We see some hands raised. Perhaps we could now see if there is support for the second proposal of Kuwait through the method we said before.
Yes.
Are the hands now, you may wish to ask committee members, those who wish to support at least 55 to raise their hands.
Those who wish to support at least 55?
Meaning the second Kuwait proposal.
And this is the second Kuwait proposal. Mr. Curtis, could you identify?
Madam Chair, I read Brazil, Botswana, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Netherlands, Djibouti, Republic of Korea. Sorry, I'm working with my computer. And now I have perhaps one of my, 1 minute. Sweden, Jamaica, China, Czechia, Cote d'Ivoire, Rwanda, Japan, Azerbaijan, Poland, Switzerland, Cameroon, Sri Lanka. It seems to have broad support. Thank you.
I'm asking the Secretariat, could you please clean the text?
Madam Chair, with your permission, I will ask my colleagues, and they just need the time to do it, to remove the previous and to leave the latest proposal by Kuwait, which seems to have the broadest support, and remove all previous amendments, meaning first from, yes. And so it would now read in English, is determined to be at least 55 per cycle. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis.
I can see, 1 minute. We also have Cameroon and Morocco, and Japan, I believe. Yes, Japan, sorry, is not up.
Thank you, colleagues. Can we now go ahead to adopt paragraph 6 as shown on the screen? I would think so. Paragraph 6, as shown on the screen, adopted. Thank you so much, colleagues. Paragraph 7, also decide that at least one file per submitting state should be processed during the 2-year period 2022-2023. Do I have an agreement on this? No objection? Adopted. Paragraph 8, allowing the Secretariat to exercise some flexibility. No objection? Adopted. Paragraph 9, requesting the Secretariat consider the possibility of also treating, according to its resources and those of the evaluation body. Priority 1, national files from submitting states with no elements inscribed on any of the list. And priority 2, multinational files, giving priority to files from states with no national elements inscribed. No objection? Adopted. Paragraph 10, inviting states parties to take this decision into account when submitting files. I don't see any objections. Adopted. Paragraph 11, requests the Secretariat to inscribe this agenda item in the 15th session. I see no objection. Adopted. Colleagues, we have now adopted each of the paragraphs, and we need to adopt the decision as a whole. I see no objections, and so I therefore declare decision 15.com/9 adopted as amended. At this point, I wish to recognize Assistant Director General for Culture, Ernesto Ortani. Are you in the house? I need to see you on camera.
I don't know why they don't put me on screen.
How are you?
I am here. I've been here with you all week. It's a pleasure to see you.
I know you wish you were here in Jamaica.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Thank you.